Welcome back, guys, to the latest episode of the WarRoom podcast presented by the Sideline. I'm your host, Mason Wrather, and we've got an episode filled about the NFL trade deadline. It's recently coming up in the Week 7 recap. All we talked about was how parity is king. And joining me with some fire mock trades is the WarRoom analyst, Liam Carr.
What's going on, everybody? Trade deadline special, big fans. This is where some of the teams that think they can really make a run this season, they buy all in, and those teams that already gave up and are looking towards the draft, they're selling. So we're going to talk about who's who.
Absolutely, because we've got a six-way tie of 5-2 teams over the NFC, and everyone's looking over at the AFC at the 4-3 Chiefs. The playoffs started today, wouldn't even make it. So everybody's looking at it saying that this could be their year, and I think it'll make for an explosive trade deadline. We got all that and more in this special edition of the WarRoom NFL trade deadline, because it is officially open.
This is the War Room presented by the Sideline Journal, where the film doesn't lie. Let's get to work.
It's kind of the first trade team situation that me and Liam are kind of looking at is the 0-7 Jets. You know, they had a lot of really good draft picks in one draft with Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, and Breece Hall. And all of them are now starting to come up on their second contracts where they're going to have to get paid. And Garrett Wilson already did get paid. And I forgot to mention Sauce Gardner in that draft too. He's already been paid. Well, are you going to really tie up 40 to 50 million more dollars annually a year to a team that's 0-7? And I look at this edge rusher, Jermaine Johnson, that's always been extremely talented. He's 25 years old. He's coming off of an injury, but he's already quietly having a really good start to the year in a really bad defensive scheme. And I look at a team that now is going to have draft picks to burn and has every reason to make a move in the Indianapolis Colts. I would love to see a trade, Liam, of Jermaine Johnson to the Colts, and I think because of age and contracts, a second and fourth round pick could get it done.
Yeah, I mean, the Colts, Mason, you mentioned this before, but the Colts' kryptonite is that pass rush, and I really think so. Last year, their run defense was just awful. They had a good stretch where everybody had 100 yards rushing against them. So, yeah, they need to beef up that defense no matter what. You know, they can have all the offense they want. If they don't have that good front eight on defense, they're going to struggle. So, DeForest Buckner's not enough. They need more. So, yeah, I think it'd be a great call to go and get a guy. Just do a 1 or 2 year contract. Don't need to sign him for life, but just get him in there and just try to help out that Colts defense.
Yeah, it'd be that little extra boost that would kind of get them over the edge there with the edge rush and the pass rush. Because, the Colts, they don't really have just a super crazy amount of holes with now quarterback being filled for them. And, you can maybe make an excuse or a cause for a DB trade in there. But I really think an edge rush would make a lot of sense. But you told me, pre-show, that you might have a mock trade over the other guy in that draft, Breece Hall.
Yeah, this is my favorite that kind of worked on. I think it makes the most sense, and I think I can really see it happening. Yeah, Breece Hall, I think he's a great running back. He hasn't seen the end zone this season, so everybody that has him on his fantasy team is probably saying, what are you talking about? The guy has been super consistent. He had an injury once, but he's just a great runner. I think he has a great balance between speed, power, vision, anything that you really want in a running back. And so I think that the Patriots, who are buying all in to go this season, they got the rookie quarterback. Antonio Gibson got hurt. Ramondre has a fumble problem, and they don't use Travion Henderson. But they got some young wide receivers besides Stephon Diggs. They got a young lineman, so let's take advantage of it. Let's get Breece Hall in here, really help out that run game, and then I would say that the Patriots' offense is 100% complete, because right now you can't rely on Ramondre when the playoffs come. Say Drake May finishes great, they make the playoffs as a 10-win team, and then, fourth quarter Ramondre Stevenson has a fumble, which he's had so many times before.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get a reliable guy. Let's get a heavy bruiser like Breece Hall, and let's get a quick, light, fast guy, good for screens, spreading the field out with Travion Henderson. So, yeah, I got Breece Hall going to the Patriots for Ramondre Stevenson and a fourth-round pick. I think it makes sense. You can maybe even negotiate getting that fourth-round pick to a 6th or 7th, or just not even at all.
Yeah,
But
I could see the trade, and it would make a lot of sense for both sides of it. It would get a contract situation out for the Jets. They pick up a pick. If Ramondre Stevenson leaves in free agency, they get another compensatory pick out of the situation. They have someone to hand the football off to in a lost season. Only hiccup I really see happening is that interdivision trades are really rare in the NFL, but I mean, it'd be a match made in
it
heaven.
happened
Josh
a couple
McDaniels.
times.
It has happened a couple times. I mean, we watched it with the Browns and Bengals. The Browns did it out of spite to Mike Tomlin, and now we have Joe
Saquon.
Flacco. And well, Saquon, that was really a trade. That was free agency, but that
Right,
makes
right, right, right.
sense. But um, I would love it for the Patriots because I mean Drake May is playing at MVP type level. That defense is there, and any sort of playmaker or weapon would really help that offense. And Brees Hall is the exact type of runner that you think of that would fit a Josh McDaniel offense. Like I think of previous runners like Shane Vereen comes to mind, and that's a lot of what Brees Hall is. He's someone that can really run in between the tackles while also providing a receiving threat as a check down on a lot of the dagger, intermediate level type passing schemes Josh McDaniel looks for. But I'm going to stay on the Patriots because there's another trade that I think that if they don't make that one, that I would love to see happen, and it would be a low cost situation, and it would be kind of ironic. There's this player, that's down with the Raiders that has consistently been an 800 and 900 yard wide receiver. He'd be a really good complement to Stephon Diggs. He has familiarity with Josh McDaniel. He played his best under Josh McDaniel. I think if Jacoby Myers is made available, like I think he is right now for the Raiders, and if a trade can be pulled off with organizational familiarity, Tom Brady, Josh McDaniel, owner to ownership, if they can pull off a, again, fourth, fifth round pick trade for Jacoby Myers, it might not look like it's that big of a deal, but I really think that could give just an extra level of juice for the Pats offense and really elevate Drake May to where he's already completing over 85% of his passes, but I mean,
Yeah.
add another dynamic threat there, and I really think that one has a more realistic chance of happening just because of the organizational familiarity there. And I still think wide receivers are a real big need for the Patriots offense because Stephon Diggs is playing well, Hunter Henry's playing well, but who's that reliable threat outside of them? Kayshon Boutte? I mean,
Look, I mean, I think it might be wise, but I honestly think the Patriots are happy with the wide receivers that they have. I know Stephon Diggs is old and injured, but Drake May's just been wheeling and dealing to where I don't think it matters right now to who they're throwing it through. And look, they have Kayshon Boutte looking like an all-pro receiver right now. And their tight ends are fine. I don't really think they need a receiving. I think they need that running back. If anything, maybe something on the defense. But if you want to stick with Jacoby, that's fine. I want to talk about another Raider that might be on the move, Mason. This is the big ESPN Pat McAfee show headliner trade deadline that everybody's talking and looking about. Raiders pretty much looking like they're giving up on the season. It looks like 70-year-old coaches cannot come back into the NFL or coach anywhere. Bill Belichick. Just stay out of it, stay home. And so it looks like they're done. Do they give up Max Crosby? Now that's the big one going on, Mason. Do you think he's going to go anywhere? And from what I'm hearing, it looks like they want him to go to Dallas.
I just don't think it's going to happen because I mean, on the last episode of the War Room, I was all hemming and hawing about the Cowboys because of them losing to the Panthers, and I made a prediction that we're going to see Jerry Jones inquire about a lot of famous stars and dangle draft picks, but I don't think a trade's actually going to happen. And I think that's what's happening here. I think the Cowboys are calling around the league. They're trying to see people that are available, but what the Cowboys did in trading Micah Parsons, you just don't see that happen. You don't see a team trade a Hall of Fame talent franchise edge rusher. And the Raiders doing that would be admitting already in year one of the Pete Carroll era that they don't think this organization's going anywhere and it's failed. And they're going to really have to strip it down. And I mean, a report came out tonight on Wednesday or Tuesday night. Oh, we'll see this Wednesday night. Report already came out that the Raiders met with Max Crosby and said they are not actively shopping him. Teams are calling them and they have no interest in moving him. I just don't think that the franchise, after what they did with Khalil Mack trading him and seeing the aftermath from that, is going to do the same thing again. I think it would just be really hard to watch happen. Now, as a Cowboys fan, I would love it. Max Crosby is a similar caliber player to Micah Parsons. He might not be quite as a dominant force, but he's not that far behind. His contract is about $15 million less average per year, and it would probably only take one first round pick and a third round pick and a young edge rusher that the Cowboys have, like Sam Williams or Donovan Ezeraku, to get the trade done and made. I just have a really hard time seeing it, Liam, just because organizationally, yeah, Pete Carroll probably shouldn't be coaching late into his 70s at 75, but I just have a hard time seeing it happen.
Well, yeah, I don't think it happened too, but that's just the big headline. I thought we'd address it because I looked up NFL trade deadline rumors, and that was the first one. I went to ESPN, that was the first one. I went to NBC, that was the first one. But Mason, do you think the Cowboys make any moves for the defensive side of the ball? It's one of the worst. They got to beef it up somehow, right?
Yeah, I think that they've got to. I think that, they have extra draft capital to burn. I think that they're going to call around the league to try to get some edge rushers. I think that they're calling Max Crosby because that's the one they ultimately want. I think they're going to call the Titans about Jeffrey Simmons, even though the Titans have said that he's untouchable. I think they're going to call the Jets and try to go after Jermaine Johnson or Quentin Williams. They'll probably get turned down. And I think the most realistic option is the two edge rushers on for the Dolphins, Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. I truthfully think with Bradley Chubb's contract, it's only worth $2 million this season. It fits right into the cap space slot the Cowboys have, and it gives them freedom to restructure the rest of his contract going forward in a pivotal offseason, next offseason, when they try to have to re-sign George Pickens. I think that, again, Bradley Chubb, his age and contract, they won't have to give up one of those first round picks. I think they could give up mid-round, second and a third, or a third and a fourth, depending on how desperate they want them, and I think that could get it done. I think that that's the most likely trade the Cowboys make, is for an edge rusher in that vein. The one that I want to see happen is not invest too much draft capital in this season, because I think the defense is just that bad. We're not going to go anywhere, and try to just go all in with draft the next couple years for them. But if what they could do is go over to the Saints and go look at Demario Davis, who's been playing at a Pro Bowl level for about 7 years now for the Saints, that would literally only cost a 6th-round pick. He's 35 years old, and he's still playing at a very high level. And the worst thing about the Cowboys defense is their off-ball linebackers. Kenneth Murray and Jack Sanborn are the worst linebacking tandem in the league. So those are some of the trades that I'd like to see for the Cowboys. But, going over to the Saints, do you think that Chris Olave gets traded? I saw some stuff about that.
Hey, I'll say something real quick about Dallas. I was just thinking about this. Remember when Jerry was saying, why don't we use one of those first-round picks to get somebody now? What if there's a Cowboys have a crazy trade where they throw in one of those first-round picks they got from the Packers?
Man, I don't...
Would you rather keep those, or...
I personally, talking about the Cowboys, my personal hope for this season is we go 10-7 and we're exciting and make the playoffs, and we ultimately lose, because that's what we do in the playoffs. And that this offseason, it's enough proof of concept that we re-signed George Pickens, we re-signed Javonte Williams, and we just draft defense only. That's what I hope. The only trade that I like is the Max Crosby carrot being dangled, because it makes a lot of sense, but I don't see how they get it done without just trading 2 more first-round picks and then some to make the Raiders want to do it. And so I don't know what trades out there, because people don't just trade generational corners like they're nothing. I don't know what safety would even make sense to try to trade for. Minkah Fitzpatrick, but I don't know. What I do think will happen around the trade deadline is Trevon Diggs will get cut, which is kind of wild, but
that would hurt. Hey, so back to the Saints. Yeah, I think they gotta kind of clean house. It's interesting to me about seeing what Spencer Rattler has for the rest of the season. I'm not a huge fan on him, but he's proved a little bit that he could maybe be a professional quarterback. Like, that offense is not the best surrounding him. So, maybe we could still see, but, I just get so mad when I just thought of this. I look back and they drafted Tyler Shuck in the 2nd round, don't forget. And apparently he was going to be their guy. Now look we haven't even heard anything about him. We haven't even seen him. So yeah, they're gonna stick with Spencer. Chris Olave, even with all his concussions and injuries, he's still a solid wide receiver. He's a great weapon to build around. Alvin Kamara is gonna be gone soon. He said if I get traded, I'm just gonna be sipping pina coladas somewhere. So he's gonna retire. Is what we're getting from that. Um, but yeah, the season's we knew the season was over before it started when um, David Carr announced his retirement. And then we're looking at the Saints roster and saying, wow, they really don't have much. So um, I don't know about a fire sale. Don't start throwing away everybody. Let's keep some good capital. Keep some good locker room and culture. But we need some picks going into next year. Next year's draft is not going to cure everything. So let's just maybe try to get some other players that will fit the system with it. I kind of trust Kellen Moore with what he's done in Philadelphia. I kind of trust him to lead the way, have some good voice in that decision-making room, and get the Saints some good stuff. They need to make some moves this before the trade deadline.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, talking about moves and people that probably need to make a move to save their job. I mean, I'm going to hit you with something that I didn't really tell you about, but I want your take on it. The Giants are around 2-5. Jackson Dart looks legitimately like there might be something there. Brian Daboll is trying to coach for his job this season, and every win loss that happens while he's coaching is going to determine his future and ultimately Jackson Dart's future. And unfortunately, their number one wideout, Malik Neighbors, went down with an injury, and they're trying to manufacture a lot of stuff in that production. And I, go look at the Miami Dolphins and the state that they're in, and I read a report talking about how the Giants want to make a play for a receiver, and they inquired about Olave, which prompted all of that. I mean, is there a chance that we see them go make a swing for Jalen Waddle?
Um, Yeah, I think they should. Now, I like Wandale Robinson. Um, he's a solid. He's very quick. He just gets the job done, but he's not a one. So when you're bringing guys up like that, that's always just tough. Like when Malik Neighbors was there, Wandale was a great second target. But now that he's the first, you know how these coaches work. They're gonna put then the wide receiver two on him, lock down the other guy, or it just doesn't work like that. You kind of needed a Malik, so we got to go out and get somebody. Jalen Waddle, definitely inquire about him, see what's going on. Inquire about Jacoby Myers too, why not? But um, yeah, Dable, feel really bad for him. That loss on Sunday was just awful. One of the worst losses of all time. Um, that was on the defense. The offense stalled. Dable, I think you gotta say that's a coaching fault. I like Dable a lot. I'm a Dable defender, but it's just not looking good because the excuse was always, Daniel Jones is not the guy, and now you get your guy, and you can't even pull off a win when you're up 30 in the fourth. So, um, the Giants, I think there's a lot more than just the coaching. I think they have a good future right now. Their future with Jackson Dart and Cam Skadaboo looks a lot better than it did before. Neighbors getting injured, that really stinks. But I still think it's positive outlook, including Dable. I think there's some other issues going on.
Yeah, I mean, there's just organizational rot there, but I mean, it could be more defensive issues than anything. But I would just love to see that move get made of Jalen Waddle going to the Giants. So, I mean, that kind of, I think we're getting to the point where we're almost talking in circles at this point. Because, I mean, there's a lot of trades that could be made. There's a lot of rumors out there right now. There's a lot of people trying to mock crazy trades. And I just think that that's disingenuous what's happening. But, I mean, if y'all didn't check the Week 7 recap, I'll link it up in the top. Y'all should go check it out and watch it. It was pretty good. Not shameless plug here, kind of recap what's going on. But in it, the title of it was Parody is King. And right now in the league, I can't remember a time 7 weeks into the year where I don't know who's the best team in football. There are like 6 or 7 teams that are 5-2 in one conference, and the 4-3 Chiefs aren't even technically in the playoffs right now. I mean, Liam, can
Yeah.
you ever remember watching a season like this?
Well, with this amount of parity, no. I mean, after week 3 or 4, we were like, all right, the Eagles, the Colts, surprisingly the Colts. The people were talking about the Packers. Um, uh, yeah, we were. There's never been a season I can't recall where we've had just the two juggernauts for the NFC, AFC, and then just everybody else files below. It looks like it's wide open now. In my opinion, the Colts are the team to beat right now. But besides that, I mean, look at the NFC with all those five. The Packers are the number one seed in the NFC as a 4-1-1 team, and then from 2 to like 9, it's like that's an over exaggeration, but it's 5-2 all the way down, which is just insane. The bad teams are the teams we knew would be bad, except for RG3 and Dan Orlovsky. They thought the Dolphins were going to be something, but yeah, and then the Chiefs being 3-4, or are they 4-3?
4-3.
Yeah, same with the Carolina Panthers, which is crazy to say. So the parity right now is insane. Any given Sunday, Mason, you say that all the time. It's been enjoyable.
It's been super enjoyable because, I mean, it wasn't too long ago that the Bills were the last undefeated team in football, and now they're 4-2 in the 5th seed in the AFC. The Chargers.
People are talking about Sean McDermott. What's his future looking like?
Exactly. The Chargers were 3-0, and now they're 4-3, fighting for their division. The Broncos. Injuries, but yes, the Broncos are 5-2, but they've had 2 crazy comebacks to get there. So I mean, that's just the AFC right there of teams that were up here that you start to I don't even know about. And I mean, now we were on last week's episode talking about how probably the Steelers have the NFC North wrapped up sitting at 4-1, and then the Unk Bowl happens and Joe Flacco comes out of retirement and is like, I'm here. And now the NFC North might not be wrapped up because I mean, 3-4, 4-2. The Ravens preseason were Super Bowl favorites, and they're 1-5. The Texans were favored to win their division, and they're 2-4. So I mean, you can just go all around. If I had told you at the start of the year that the Giants and Commanders would both be close to having the same record, would you have believed it? No, and I just think that's nobody would. And I just think that's what makes this season so fun as a fan, is that you can make a case for any team, and that's what you want. It's not like other leagues where over at baseball, it's going to be the LA Dodgers because they pay $400 million more than any other team.
Yeah.
Or the NBA where it's going to be the same 8 to 10 teams. It's like the NFL, any team has a chance, and I think that's what makes it special.
Yeah, I mean, nobody was talking about the Colts before the season, and they're the best, except the people at the Sideline Journal. We had high hopes with their offensive weapons and their division, but yeah, any of these teams, I think they're the most surprising to start out, but and then, Mason, in 4 more weeks, are we going to be looking at the Bills looking like, 5-6, and then looking at the Panthers as 7-6, something like that. So can't wait to talk about that.
It's really wild to say. Well, y'all, we appreciate y'all tuning in a little bit to this quick little mini bite version of the War Room and NFL trade deadline centric. Later this week, you're also going to see an episode come out with the Seattle Seahawks franchise watchdog Daniel Rice, and we're talking a little bit about what's going on in Seattle and the rise of the Seahawks. We really appreciate y'all sticking around with us and tuning into some of the content that we have. We are 1 sub away from the big 300, and we really appreciate y'all subscribing and following along in our journey.
Help us get some new mics or stands or a desktop. We'd really appreciate anything. Subs and comments.
Subs and comments help more than you know. It really probably elevate our junior high setup into maybe something a little more professional. But anyways, like Liam said, like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you in the next episode. Peace out.
See you.
We hope you enjoyed this latest episode of the WarRoom podcast presented by the Sideline Journal. If you haven't yet, check out the related video of the Week 7 recap where we break down the biggest storylines in the league going into Week 8 and how parity is king. Drop a comment down below what you agree or disagree with some of these trades that we discussed, and keep your eye out for later down the week. We have a little extra shot from the War Room where we have Daniel Rice on talk about the NFC West and what's going on down in Seattle. Anyways, guys, we really appreciate hitting 300 subscribers, and thank you for riding with us. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Peace out.